Grey's Anatomy premiered in 2005. The Pitt arrived over 20 years later. Both are medical dramas. Both have cult followings. Both make viewers scream at their televisions. But the question for 2026 is surprisingly simple: who's actually winning the medical drama war? This video breaks down the legacy, the characters, the cultural impact, the medical realism, the writing styles, and the fan loyalty behind Grey's Anatomy and The Pitt. And by the end, we'll know whether the old champion still owns the crown, or whether a new contender has entered the operating room. Grey's Anatomy didn't just air a medical drama. It detonated a cultural grenade. Back in 2005, the world didn't have streaming services dominating television. People still scheduled their Thursday nights around network primetime, and Grey's walked onto the scene with Ma, Derek, Christina, Bailey, Alex, George, Izzy, and a Seattle Grace full of chaos, and instantly rewrote the rules. It combined surgical cases, soap-level romance, pop soundtrack montages, witty narration, and trauma. So much trauma. Fast forward to the 2020s, and now you have The Pitt, a newer show designed for a post-streaming audience, built with faster pacing, higher realism, less monologue introspection, and a writing style that understands viewers binge instead of wait. These two shows are essentially medical dramas from two different eras, and they fight on different battlegrounds. Grey's legacy is undeniable. It's one of the longest-running primetime dramas in television history. It survived cast exits, character deaths, multiple showrunners, changing TV trends, changing platforms, a streaming takeover, and a global pandemic. The Pitt, on the other hand, doesn't have legacy yet, but it has momentum. Momentum matters because legacy shows become comfort food, while new shows become the thing everyone is talking about online. Grey's fans tweet nostalgia. Pitt fans tweet hype. One isn't better than the other. They just serve different emotional appetites. Medical dramas are built on characters, not surgeries. Grey's Anatomy built archetypes that became iconic. The dark and twisty lead, the deeply flawed surgeon, the overachiever, the heart of gold intern, the surgical god, and the mean mentor with a soul. Meredith Grey, Christina Yang, Alex Karev, Miranda Bailey, Richard Webber, Mark Sloan. These characters are burned into television DNA. Grey's characters weren't just written. They were engineered to explode, implode, suffer, heal, and repeat. The Pitt builds characters differently. It leans less into melodramatic breakdowns and more into the modern ensemble archetype: the talented newcomer, the trauma survivor doctor, the steady veteran, the morally gray surgeon, the administrative disruptor, the patient-first idealist. This style appeals to viewers trained by shows like Chicago Med, New Amsterdam, 9 to 11, and Station 19. Characters on The Pitt are designed for shorter arcs, continuous rotation, and tighter conflict cycles. Grey's built lifelong relationships. The Pitt builds immediate stakes. Neither strategy is wrong. One is designed for binge culture. One was designed for slow-burn network culture that accidentally became bingeable later. Grey's Anatomy is a medical soap. It thrives on secret relationships, surprise affairs, grief arcs, slow burns, emotional destruction, tear-jerking patient cases, and seasonal catastrophes. Grey's is engineered to make you feel, cry, and tweet. The Pitt is more medical drama with character seasoning. It still has personal arcs, but the emotional center is shared more evenly with realism and pacing. Grey's uses narration, monologues, metaphorical patience, and dramatic cliffhangers. The Pitt uses realism, parallel cases, patient outcomes that mirror systemic issues, less romantic chaos, and more structural conflict. If Grey's is romance and trauma, The Pitt is medicine and modern dynamics. Which one is better depends on what fans are hungry for. Grey's fan culture is built on shipping wars, Favorite exits, beloved deaths, unforgettable speeches, trauma bonding, Christina Yang quotes, Meredith Grey narrations, and the ghost of Derek Shepherd. Grey's fans don't just watch, they mourn. The Pitt fan culture behaves more like military drama fans, Chicago franchise fans, and procedural communities. They analyze cases, debate realism, and root for characters to grow instead of spiral. Grey's fans say, "Don't you dare hurt my favorite character." Pitt fans say, "That's actually how a trauma case would go." Grey's fandom is emotional. Pitt fandom is observational. Both are valid. Both create online conversation, but they live in different corners of the internet. Grey's Anatomy knows how to build couples that break the world. Meredith and Derek, Mark and Lexi, Callie and Arizona, Christina and Burke, Christina and Owen, Meredith and DeLuca, Jackson and April, Teddy and Owen, Amelia and Owen, Teddy and Tom, Levi and Nico. Grey's ships don't just date, they event. The Pitt's romantic arcs exist, but they do not operate at Grey's nuclear level. The Pitt leans into mutual respect, trauma bonding, realistic pacing, and moral boundaries. Grey's leans into destiny, catastrophe, forbidden romance, breakdowns, and surgical metaphors. Grey's ships are designed for heartbreak playlists. The Pitt's ships are designed for that actually makes sense. Let's talk medicine. Grey's Anatomy medical realism rating among actual healthcare professionals has always hovered between not realistic but emotionally effective, and we would absolutely lose our license for that. Grey's uses medicine as metaphor. Surgery is therapy. Patients are symbolism. The Pitt uses medicine as medicine. Procedures are accurate. Survival rates reflect reality. Diagnoses follow actual timelines. Grey's teaches you about heartbreak. The Pitt teaches you about trauma surgery. Pacing matters. Grey's Anatomy episodes follow a 2000s structure. Slow build, character focus, one emotional explosion, one patient metaphor, one montage with indie music, one narration with meaning. The Pitt uses 2020s structure, cold open case, dual patient threads, team dynamics, administrative conflict, patient outcome, realistic wrap-up. Grey's is designed for end-of-episode crying. The Pitt is designed for episode-to-episode momentum. Grey's changed television soundtracks forever. Snow Patrol, The Fray, Tegan and Sarah, Ingrid Michaelson. The epic music montage became a signature. When you hear How to Save a Life, you don't think of actual CPR. You think of Derek Shepherd. The Pitt doesn't rely on music the same way. It uses score, not mixtape. Grey's uses music to create emotional memory. The Pitt uses pacing to create dramatic memory. Grey's Anatomy is one of the most quotable shows of the last 2 decades. Pick me, choose me, love me, you're my person. It's a beautiful day to save lives. He's not the sun, you are. Don't let fear keep you quiet. The Pitt is too new for cultural quotes. Its quotes are realistic, not iconic. Iconic takes time, and time is the one currency Grey's owns. Grey's Anatomy viewers come for emotional attachment, relationship drama, catharsis, nostalgia, trauma bonding, and character arcs that span years. The Pitt viewers come for realism, modern pacing, character competency, fresh storylines, social media discussion, and binge-worthy tension. Grey's makes you cry. The Pitt makes you think. Both make you stay. Grey's has a secret weapon: streaming. New fans discover Grey's at age 13, while old fans are now in their 40s. That is multi-generational reach. Grey's doesn't just have viewers, it has inheritance. People pass Grey's down like a family recipe. Watch until season 6, then text me. The Pitt has streaming exposure too, but it doesn't have inheritance yet. That takes years. But the Pitt has buzz, which is the currency of the 2020s. Grey's Anatomy turned actors into icons: Sandra Oh, Ellen Pompeo, Patrick Dempsey, Katherine Heigl, Isaiah Washington, Justin Chambers, Chandra Wilson, Sarah Ramirez, Jessa Williams, Jessica Capshaw. These names sold magazines, interviews, and seasons. The Pitt doesn't need star power. It thrives on ensemble balance, a modern strategy that avoids celebrity burnout. Grey's built stars. The Pitt builds teams. In Grey's Anatomy, Seattle Grey/Mercy West/Grey Sloan Memorial is a character. It has personality, history, trauma, jokes, and ghosts. You don't just watch surgeons. You watch a building survive plane crashes, shootings, fires, storms, and pandemics. In the Pitt, the hospital is less mythic and more realistic. It's a system, not a soul. One style is poetic. The other is grounded. Grey's fanbase includes Gen X nostalgia watchers, millennials trauma survivors, and Gen Z streaming bingers. The Pitt fanbase is primarily Gen Z and young millennials, healthcare workers, and procedural fans. Grey spans decades. The Pitt spans platforms. So who's winning the medical drama war? The answer depends on the battlefield. On legacy, Grey's Anatomy wins. On cultural impact, Grey's Anatomy wins. On emotional trauma, Grey's Anatomy wins. On music and quotes, Grey's Anatomy wins. On realism, The Pitt wins. On pacing, The Pitt wins. On modern audience targeting, The Pitt wins. On commentary and accuracy, The Pitt wins. On future potential, The Pitt has runway. On nostalgia, Grey's owns nostalgia permanently. Grey's is the legend. The Pitt is the contender. And legends and contenders can coexist. Grey's built the foundation. The Pitt is building the remodel. Both win, just on different scoreboards. End of